Hello and welcome. I'm Wild Chevy, and you guys are watching the Atomic Salt Live Show. With me today is Casey Roberts, back from his vacation, and
Yo,
then
yo,
joining
yo.
us is Grim Wolf. He's our special guest today.
Sup,
Hey
peeps?
guys.
And I have to say that Grim is probably the most aptly named handle I've ever seen. You guys, this man will not make you laugh at all. He won't even crack a smile.
I'm a very angry man that likes to fight people.
He fights in cages.
Like, not like human-sized cages either, like small little dog cages.
Like octagon shape.
Yeah, whatever works. I'm kind of small, so it's kind of midget fighting.
For Fritos.
Whatever they pay me, man, I'll take whatever I can get.
Alright, so let's start it off. What did you guys do today, or this week, for your hobbying? Let's start off with Casey.
Okay, so I've been working on some more Infinity stuff. I'll just do a quick screen share here. I've been doing Diomedes. You can see he's getting there. I've got the base coats on, started adding in a little bit of washes, a couple little highlights. A few things still need to get cleaned up on the back end, though. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the process. Base is mostly done, so that's kind of what I've been up to. Did get in a couple of games last of so that's always fun. My Steel Phalanx went and dominated the Nomads because, let's be honest, Nomads are just a bunch of space gypsies, and they deserve to be whipped into shape.
Wait until you get a fast panda down your throat.
But space hobos actually is probably the better term for it.
Hey,
They'll fight octagons.
I think that's Ariadne.
Those are space hillbillies. Big difference.
That's right. Ariadne are the space hillbillies that will blow your face open. Sorry, it's just what happens. Deal with it.
Grim, what have you done this week in the hobby world?
Me? Well, I've done quite a few things. I don't know how to do the fancy switch thing that Casey does. And one time maybe I'll learn that, but for now I'll just tell you. I've been messing around with X-Wing a lot. Like too much. Like I bought a few things and then I bought some more.
Define a few things.
Well, I bought the core set and then mistakes
that
were
looks cute on you, I bet.
Yes. Mistakes were made, and I went and followed up with a Falcon and two B-Wings and an A-Wing and an X-Wing and a TIE Fighter and a TIE Bomber and a TIE Advance and a Defender and a TIE Phantom.
Have you got the big ship yet?
No, I don't want to buy those. Those are too expensive, and they're weird.
So what you're saying is you're just experimenting with the game at this point. You're not really getting into it.
Just dabbling, really. Just seeing what it's like.
You've gone to the dark side.
Kind of, yeah, literally. And then I've been painting a little bit of my Nomads, and I've got a big commission sitting on my desk that I've got to take care of. I got Berica from the Trollbloods Warmachine for Trevor, so I got to get that painted up. So yeah, not very much. I haven't been doing much at all, hobby-wise,
Buying counts. The way we spend money buying always counts as hobby activities.
Fair enough. Hobby works. By the way, Casey, I like the. Are you using like metallic metals, like real metals on your dudes, on your Phalanx?
Yeah, actually, what I'm doing here is I'll just throw them back up just because I like doing the screen share and I like people looking at it. We're using a mixture of bronze and gold for all the metallics, so it's a real metallic there.
I really like that effect. Like I haven't seen metallic metal on Infinity models really very much, and so to see a mostly metallic scheme is really cool, and I think it works really well with that teal. The bronze and the teal really kind of work together really, really good. I like it a lot, man.
I think the kind of the overriding theme for the army is just like a black and bronze color, and then all the characters are getting their own special highlight color. So Diomedes is getting the blue, Eudoros is going to get a green, Pennsylvania will be black, bronze, and red, and that's kind of that sort of thing. So they all kind of stand out from each other.
I dig it.
But I tend to play more than I paint. I'm not that amazing of a painter, so I find that true metallics actually look a little bit better on the table than like a non-metal. So.
Sure. Yeah, it works, bro. It works. I dig it.
Thank you.
And let's see. For me this week, not much painting is going along. I've been working on a project for a cosplayer. Let's see what I have. Oh, I did get some playtime in for Warmachine, and also got some Relic Knights. My Kickstarter pledge finally showed up, and been tearing into that.
Okay, so let's talk about Relic Knights a little bit more, because everybody's starting to get all their RK stuff in.
Dude, Segway machine right there. That was impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you. I impress myself sometimes.
That was awesome.
So yes, what would you like to know about Relic Knights case?
All right, so let's start off with the general. I mean, I looked at the Kickstarter. I think a lot of people looked at the Kickstarter, but that was a couple of years ago. And all we saw was a bunch of girls sticking the butts up in the air, riding giant robots. Which really, to me, I'm sold. Like, that's it. I'll give you $100 just for the concept.
He's playing Aleph. I mean, so that's giant robot girls.
He likes robot girls and their booties, obviously. So it's cool. Right down your alley.
This is where I break out with certain mix. I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. We'll go Roxanne with itty bitty waist and the. Okay, we're done.
And we'll
that.
stop you there before we get a copyright.
All right. So, Alan, why don't you tell us how, other than the aesthetic, how does Relic Knights stand apart from most of your regular, or we'll say, the majority of your other skirmish games out there?
So this, like I said, this was a Kickstarter 2 years ago. It's when funding ended. We've been waiting patiently for this. This is a miniature skirmish game. It can be scaled up to larger battles. This is played on a 3x3 board at the small level, then goes up to a 4x4. It is a non-dice mechanic. It uses playing cards.
What? That's crazy talk. You can't get rid of dice?
Yep, it uses the card system here. And it's an alternate activation game. So it'll be one unit goes, does its thing, and then next player does their thing, and then it's very objective based. It's not a head-to-head, shoot 'em up, beat 'em up. It is very strategic in the play style.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Since this is a card game and not a dice game, is there a deck building mechanic to it? Kind of like Pokemon or
no, it's like
like Duel of the Planeswalker or something.
Yeah, you have you 20-sided dice. That's a D20 mechanic is for like Infinity, right? This
Sure.
is like you just take a random deck of 40, and it's 42 cards. It's not a regular poker deck, but it's a 42 card deck, and you draw a hand of 5 cards, and you'll have different symbols and things called Esper. I'll continue after this, but it's used like the random draw of the cards, and everybody has the same deck. So, one guy draws, the card he needs to do the special ability has to have a certain symbol that's on the cards. But Al, you want to?
It's resource management based. you need certain resources to do more with your units, but then there's certain mechanics. If you have a so I'll just show you right here. This is the play mat, and what you're going to do is have your guys. This is your ready queue, and as your units advance, they'll go into the active slot. And then once they're done with the active slot doing their thing, they'll either go back into the ready queue or into the idle queue.
So it's kind of cool in that. Sorry, Al. It's kind of cool in that it's not just like you go, I go. Well, it is you go, I go, but you also plan your activation ahead of time. You don't just say, all right, I'm going to randomly, okay, now that he moved that guy, I want to move this guy. It's you sit down and you go, okay, I want to activate these 3 guys on my turn. And then your opponent would do the same thing. And then they sit in that queue and you move them forward one at a time to their active slot. So not only do you have the actual card mechanic to do your damage and okay, I attacked you, I flip this card, and that means I do 5 damage to you as opposed to 2 or 1 because of the symbol on the card. But you also have that this guy has to go first, and then this guy's next, and then that guy's next, and it's kind of a cool like strategy there too. So
yeah, you have to. There's a lot to think ahead, and there are some talents that'll actually knock somebody out of queue, so it completely screws up your order.
Mm-hmm. There are other talents that let you like one of them, that the Shattered Sword, because that's one of the 2 that I got. One of the questing knights, who's like your hero, right? He gives a talent that says you can reorder your queue as an ability that just says you can reorder the activation order that you have set. Say something happens and you want to change it, that's a specific ability that allows you to change that. So it's kind of cool there too.
There's no turns. There's actually no turns in the game. It's a progressive play. You play until you've met all your objectives, or until you've lost all your people in your cadre.
Okay, so when you say like you meet your objectives, is this? I'm thinking like 40K or Infinity objectives. Are you moving up to the board to get in a certain area, or is it like you're trying to grab something and run with it? Give me an example of like what your objectives are.
So when you first start out the game, you'll shuffle your deck, and then you'll pull a card, and the primary color of that card, there's a primary objective tracker sheet, and so you'll be able to match that color, and then there's a secondary that you'll do it again, and then match that color with what the secondary objective is. So that way, your objectives are going to be completely different from your opponent.
So is that secret? I haven't read that far into it. So is that like you draw your primary objective and kind of conceal that from your opponent, or do you just say, hey, this is what I drew? I didn't get that far into it.
Haven't gotten that far into it yet to double check.
Okay, that's kind of cool though. I didn't, because I just looked through my Esper deck and I saw those objective cards, and I was like, that's weird. So these are like the missions, but how do you choose them? But I noticed that they are all colored, and as you mentioned that, I was like, well, that's kind of a cool little way to do it.
And then each faction correlates to the 6 colors here, and each faction has their own faction objectives.
Always?
So there's a lot of different ways to get points during the game.
Nice. And so you're playing asymmetrical. So then how long does a game take? Like your average size game?
We haven't figured that out yet. We haven't played.
Just that, it looks like a fun game though. Like, yeah, I'm intrigued by the card mechanic a lot, and I don't play a lot of games. I paint a lot of figures, and I collect a lot of games, and play randomly and on occasion. But the card mechanic really makes this interesting to me, so I'm excited, kind of.
And the buy-in is not that bad. I mean, this is the size of the starter box for the Black Diamond. In it, you'll get a miniature rulebook. So every starter box gets one of these. You'll get your deck, a playmat, a set of tokens. I'm not sure if they were Kickstarter or not, and your miniatures, and then the cards that go along with your miniatures. And it's
If you read the Al, if you read the back of the box, it actually says what comes in the. If I don't know if those tokens are part of it, but if on the back of the box it says, I think you do get the tokens as part. It's a pretty slick starter set in that you get everything you need. You get cards, everything but a ruler, and you can basically just start playing from the one starter box.
I think it's enough points or close to it for the small match.
Okay, because
so
I know
nice
a
buy-in
lot
for
of.
anybody.
Okay, because I'm going to say a lot of starter sets are like the bare bones, to the point where you start and you're like, oh my gosh, this starter set is amazing. I got all these sorts of things. And then you play the game with twice, you're like, oh, wait, I don't actually have anything here that I really want to use. So it sounds like they've got a great. You were kind of holding up the models there for a second. How do they look? I mean, I know they're hard plastic.
Here is the M83 tank, and this is for Black Diamond. It's on a 40 mil base. All the bases are purple, but it's nice resin plastic. It's a little tough. Cleans up pretty well. Paint adheres to it pretty well as well.
For you guys who don't know, Grim and Wild Chevy are both master painters, and so how these things paint up is yes. We'll have to show them some.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Sorry. Thanks. I was just going to add my. So here's the Paragon from the Shattered Sword. Now these models are cool, right? I like the models, but I'm going to add my little voice of dissension right now. For the Shattered Sword, the mold lines weren't too bad because they're not in terribly bad places. But this is the Restic, Al, is that what we call it? Restic, the plastic resin, the hard. I call it the Privateer Press crap plastic. Sorry, anybody who likes that. I hate it with a passion. I sell things made out of it because I can't work with it. And I put together all my Shattered Sword guys, and they're, like I said, the mold lines weren't too bad, and I was like, oh, this will be fine. And then I opened my the No Empire, and it's got lots of organic, muscles and hair going all over the place. And the Shattered Sword was just armor, shields, cloaks, easy, soft, detail type stuff. But when I went in and I was looking at this guy's head, and he's got this hair going everywhere, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then there's mold lines all over that you can't get to with a knife, and a file will just ruin the plastic. And I almost went bonkers because I was like, oh, this could be so cool, but no, stupid mold.
Yeah, these are very much play figures. Some of the Relic Knights, the bigger guys, you could probably work with them to make them look competition level. A lot of the stuff, though, you can paint it up real quick, get them on the table, and just be done with it.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they're made for me. That's like my level of painting.
Yes, it's not going to be like Infinity. I see a lot of people, they want to get into Infinity, but they look at the miniatures, all the high detail, and they freak out. Also, when they see Angel's paint jobs, they freak out. This is more of an average person game system.
So that's kind of what they need. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it is. I think I'm coming from the perspective of a guy who wants to paint every model super duper awesome good and doesn't think about just slap on some colors, make it look nice from table level and go. And these models are great for that. They go together really well. There's not a lot of gaps that you're going to need to fill. It's just a couple mold lines that are annoying for stupid painter guys like me.
So Wild Chevy, I know I've seen you've been posting some unboxings. We'll post some links to that here below. But from what I saw, it looks like these are almost like a press fit type.
Yeah.
How much posability do you have with these things?
They're pretty static on the posability. The tank here, but the only thing that rotates is the turret. But they're built in a way that the left side and the right side, you can't stick them together. The slots and the joints are designed that you can't goof it up. And a lot of the miniatures in the range are like that. So it's a very static pose. You won't be able to change it much. But for people who just want to get them slapped together, they go together real easy.
I think, Al, I made a mistake on one, but it wasn't because the key was right, but I just stuck it on there. I was like, oh, that's the wrong one, dang it. I think it makes it look pretty cool, but just because it's a different pose. I think there is posability for the hobby guy who wants to just kind of cut down that tab so it doesn't have the exact keyhole, right? You can just cut it into a circular post. And you can use it if you really want to get into like hobbying and making everything like your own unique pose. You could do that. You might need a little green stuff to clean up the gaps that might be made because of it. So I think there is that posability in that the hobby aspect to it. But most of them, it's pretty cut and dry. Like Al said, one of them looks like an L, so you stick the L key into the L slot, and there you go. And move on to the next figure.
So do you think that, we're talking about a lot of the stuff that we're seeing in the starter sets. Do you think it would move on to maybe some of the more, like the heroic models? Some of the more specialty stuff, maybe we'll see a little bit more posability, a little bit finer detail.
I haven't seen. I got a whole box of stuff here. I've gone through 3 factions so far, and they're all pretty much the solid static pose. And that's just how the miniatures go together.
So Casey, when you're talking about posability, are you like referring to how GW has like that? A lot of their plastic molds, you can actually, like with the Space Marine, his arm doesn't actually have to go on exactly in the right spot. It's like a circular curve, so you can move it a little bit. Is that kind of what you're referring to? When you
Sure, yeah. I can have a Space Marine holding the gun like this, or I can have him holding it like this, or, if I move when I put the gun back on like this. I won't say how many guys I have looking like that.
Yeah, there aren't any of the big, at least like Al said, I don't think any of the big ones that I've looked at have that kind of a joint.
But come to think of it, most miniature rangers don't. Warmachine, Privateer Press, it's pretty much goes together one way. Infinity goes together one way. Malifaux, a lot of them they have the poses set up, and then with how they've done this range here, its setup is a lot easier to put together.
Do you think that's because of the 3D rendering and stuff they do? It's a very specific pose that they throw down, but GW has had like that marine design down for so long. I think they kind of are the only company that says, look, we made our model so that, if you want your guy to be pointing up in the air or down or over, we'll make the shoulder joints very interchangeable, so on and so forth. But with the way 3D rendering is nowadays, they're very specific, and the art is so detailed, and you can't really switch things around with as much detail as they're putting into the.
I think it's because with GW, like 40K, for instance, a lot of their stuff has in the game. There's a lot of options you can do. Your Space Marine can hold a sword, hold an axe, and that plays differently in the game. So they have a lot of different bits. But your captain in your Signar army, he's just going to be one shot. He's not going to look any different unless you cut him up and mold him, and then that's just a hobby thing.
Right.
I think there's also a question of scale in the two games. In 40K, you're going to have a squad of tactical. You're going to have like 4 squads of tactical Marines. You're just going to have. It's not unreasonable to have 200 different models on the board when you're playing a decent-sized 40K. Right. And so you're going to start noticing repeat units a lot faster. Whereas, I guess you can scale Relic Knights up to that level, but if you only got 3 or 4 of each unit, you're probably not really going to notice that much that you're lacking a lot of customization.
Right. but I know a lot of, just like you're saying, I know a lot of guys, especially for me, when I see repeat sculpts, it kind of like hurts me inside a little bit. Like when I see like Iron Fang Pikeman with 2 sculpts for 10 models, and you're like, come on, man, make sense.
Oh, okay. Dreadball drives me insane because it's like I see you're just hitting the copy and paste in Photoshop, and you're just it's the same picture. They'll at least take it from a different direction or something, but they don't even
But that's how
bother.
Mantic plays. Mantic is very get your pieces out on the table.
That's probably why that's their whole why they can get their stuff out as affordably as they do, because I think they're some of the more affordable. It's one of the more affordable companies as far as getting a big army of plastic stuff is Mantic, because I think it's the way they do it. They say, look, these are the ones we're going to produce, and we're going to produce a lot of them. So if you want them, that's what you get.
But not having infinite amount of customization isn't a bad thing. Like you said, I mean, they go together one way, they go together beautifully that way, and you're probably not going to see a million of these things. I mean, you're going to walk in any game store anywhere in the world, and chances are you're going to see 40K stuff sitting there, and you're going to see a billion Space Marines sitting there. So being able to see a little bit of difference in between all of them is nice. Relic Knights, I mean, I wish the best for you guys, but if you're ever going to get to be like 40K level, it won't be in this decade. So you're not going to see them as much. It's probably not going to bother people as much in person.
I guess we'll have to see how the game plays itself. That's what
I think we should actually. I think we should actually have a demo game. Like we should do it live, and, so people can write us when we're doing it wrong, or maybe. Well, Chevy, I know you've got a few connections over there. Maybe you can even have some of the game designers come on with us, and they can shout us down, tell us we're being idiots, or we can.
This is the internet. There's a lot of people who can call us idiots.
I'm one of them.
Hey, Al, you're an idiot. I'm just kidding. Now you're supposed to call me an idiot back. Come on. Okay.
Come on, take the shot. Oh man.
No,
now you're just Grim look like
I don't hit on smaller people.
Hey, you shouldn't make fun of midgets. Not very nice. My head is ginormous. We got betas. Holy crap.
No, he's totally serious. All those midgets, they all run together, man. They will jack you up.
You're gonna induce the ire.
You're gonna step outside your.
And there goes the show, right down into the gutter. Let's bring this back around.
All right,
and
so
you'd like to know about Relic Knights case.
So I guess
how do we turn midgets into the weekly news?
It'd be a short story.
Oh.
But
Okay, so cost-wise, so what's this going to cost us to get in? To get in the front door?
Not quite sure. So they've sent out all the stuff to the backers, and 2 weeks' time, it'll actually hit the shelves at the stores. So
I'm pretty interested to see what the price point is actually, Casey. I don't know what it's going to be. I know if you got in on the Kickstarter, you scored, because what you got for $100 is insane. There's no way everything you get from that Kickstarter. Yeah, that's easily probably $350 worth of stuff. I would wager.
Yeah,
you're looking at $50 for the starter box.
Okay, great. Is anybody offering that for sale, or is there going to be any kind of like unveiling, or
I'm pretty sure most web stores, and if you can talk your local retailer into ordering it in, most of them should be having it in 2 weeks.
Are they going to be distributed through Cool Mini, Al? Do you know?
I am not sure.
I was wondering that, because I know they had a little kind of I know Cool Mini and Soda Pop. I don't know if they had a a thing or what, but it seems like Soda Pop's trying to like separate themselves away from Cool Mini.
It wasn't a. I don't believe. I believe what they've said. It was not a falling out. They just got to a point where they no longer required the services of Cool Mini. They were using Cool Mini to help produce this game because they were so small, but they've grown enough with their other games like Super Dungeon Explorer that they were able to do their own thing.
Okay, so well, I guess let's move on. How about we just hit a couple of other little games that people may or may not have heard of. We can hit some news off of them. So 40K Orcs. I guess we have a codex now.
Yeah, we finally got a Orc Codex that released, and then following that, we have another week of pre-orders. I believe from what we've heard in rumors, this is going to be 6 weeks of Orcs. They're drawing this out pretty well.
Leave it to an orc to not know when the party's over and to stick around an extra couple of weeks. But we do know kind of what we're seeing out of the codex. We're seeing some of the new rules. Have you guys taken a look at them at all?
I just see a guy painted in green going wah. That's all he pretty much does.
I've never. Well, I won't say I've never. I just haven't looked up the orcs yet. I saw the flash kits you guys are talking about. They look pretty cool. Have they come out with any other like actual orc units, or are they just like the? Because I'm not a big fan of the Killicans and the Gorka Morka dudes or whatever they're called. But I love like an orc infantry unit. I think they can just look so cool. So
the basic squads, they haven't shown anything yet. On pre-order, they do have trucks, big mechs. Haven't seen anything from a regular squad yet.
So there's a few people.
Sorry, go ahead, Casey.
A few people have started showing stuff from the codex. Some of them have gotten their codices a little bit early. And honestly, orcs are still pretty much orcs. We're not seeing a whole lot of changes in them. Now, some people that might make them rather mad. Other people are going to be happy to hear this. Orcs can still throw a whole lot of DACA out there, but they need that because they still suck at shooting. They're still going to do great in assault, and they kind of do that by piling just massive amounts of boys on. They have their own new special force org chart if they want to use it, which actually has 9 troop slots. The unfortunate thing, every orc will tell you, more boys is the answer for all of that. But it looks like they haven't actually given us any way to move a non-troop unit into a troop unit slot. It used to be that if you took like a war boss on a bike, you could take knobs as troops, but you can't do that anymore. Feels kind of lazy to me. I think with that many troop slots and with the way the 7th edition rules work with troops and the objective secure rule, I think you could have done a whole lot of really cool things with that. You could have, and they're allowed to take 3 HQ, so I think it would be amazing to see like a war boss on a bike with a whole bunch of knob bikers, and then see like a big mech with a whole bunch of Kansas troops, and basically just using up all of those 9 troop slots with different types of units. And it could actually turn the orcs into a really, really scary force. But once again, I think we've seen GW drop the ball on that.
Well, then it's also stretching out of their release schedule. This is the first time they've done it, and from a lot of people I've talked to, the first part of it was wait and see, because they didn't want to buy until they got the codex. Now we've got a codex, they still have to wait to get all the other stuff coming out later this month.
Yeah, and I think anybody looking at the codex, they're wondering if the codex is any good or not. There's no question about it. It's going to be a solid codex. You look at all their psychic powers; those are solid. They've taken out, for better or for worse, depending on your opinion on it. I know some people who love variability and their psychic powers changing, but your psychic powers stay constant throughout the game. All of them are solid. You're never going to roll one up and say, oh, well, that sucks. There goes my game. All the warlord traits are solid. They're all usable. They're all traits that you're going to get mileage out of every single game. We've seen a lot of units drop in points.
There's a new animosity table. I've heard a lot of people complaining that if you're an orc player, chances of losing your own units to your own boys is pretty high.
But that was true in the last edition as well. With the way a boss pull worked. There was chances are you could, wipe out your own guys with a boss pull just to make, an attempt to re-roll. And you can still do that. Honestly, I think a lot of orc players like their random tables. I don't know. It's kind of the orc mentality, I think. But orcs, I think they actually have options to be some of the fastest units in the game. Because now pretty much every unit can take a truck with them, and a truck isn't impressive, but it gets to count as another troop unit. So you're still going to want to kill it even after the boys hop out. And on the turn you declare a log, it's the old style fleet. So you're going to have orcs that are going to be able to run 6 inches. They're going to move their 6 inches. They're going to get a run d6, and then they're going to get their d6 charge. But now when they call a log, they're getting to re-roll their run charges, and they're getting to re-roll both of their charge dice. So I expect to see a lot more boys making it into assault than they did previously. And that by itself, I think, should make orc players happy.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what else comes out from GW. We're waiting to see what their next Lord of the Rings set is, with the last part of the Hobbit movie coming out soon. What I've seen on a rumor is that we'll see Space Wolves and Blood Angels coming out as a back-to-back release in the third quarter. So that'll be pretty interesting to see as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. All right, so we don't want to give GW too much time. So Warmachines. Well, Chevy, I know you played that a little bit. So what's happening new with that game?
Right now with Privateer Press, they're doing their summer bundle sale. This is a 25-point list that'll get you into it's a theme list to correlate with new theme tiers, and it'll get you pretty much everything to get into the game except for the your measuring tape. And with the bundles, you get an exclusive pin and a set of dice, I believe.
Ooh, okay. Sorry. Sweet. Good deal. And I do know from years past that these are generally a pretty good deal. So, moving on to Infinity, a game we all love.
Yay! I'll start talking again.
Oh, wait. Going back to Warmachine a little bit.
All right.
Talk about those bundles.
Graham loves painting Warmachine. That's all he ever does.
That's all. I like
because nobody else wants to paint it.
He loves commissions.
Goodness. I'm staring at this Berka going, why, oh why did I take this?
Because he wanted to take you to GenCon.
That's right. I wanted to put. I'm gonna put some of my Warmachine models actually in the competition to see how they go. So Al's right. I do like to paint Warmachine models. I don't know. I'm weird.
No, nobody's second guessing that one.
Yeah, okay, moving along. So, talk to Corvus Belli personally. The new Pennsylvania model that we're seeing is definitely a bootleg model. She's not going to have any kind of special rules for her. She's not going to have any kind of special bonuses. And it's
Most
really even going to be
don't.
Yep. And it's even going to be up to your opponent whether or not they allow it in the game. So
very sad that it was Pennsylvania again because I want to US Ariadna chopper rider biker. Dang it. God.
Oh. I think you're going to be waiting a long time on those. I mean, what Carlos said a few weeks ago on the podcast, The Krug, that everybody wants US Ariadna, which I still think is a stupid name. Just USAA or something like that. But they are so far away from getting to USAA that's right, I'm calling it USAA, that they don't even know what that armory is going to look like. Like, they don't know kind of what the theme of it is.
Do you have a problem with clever wordplay? Sounds like you have a problem with clever wordplay. US Ariadna, that's clever wordplay. I don't know why you don't like it.
It's like saying ATM machine.
But you don't say USA Ariadna, you say US Ariadna.
Singing in a sultry voice doesn't make it better.
Makes everything better.
I don't know. I'm actually enjoying it a little bit more. I think the rest of your comments should sound a little more sultry.
Oh yeah, very, very sultry. I can talk like sultriness all the time.
I'm digging that. I'm really digging that. So Operation Icestorm, we've seen all of they've released the whole teaser image. So it looks like we're going to get a new Fusiliers, some redone models, and there's still some debate, on what weapons we're seeing. That's one of the things I love about Infinity is, guys can actually say, no, that's definitely a Pano Spitfire. That's a Pano combi rifle. They keep the weapons really consistent. It feels like enough that when you look in the art, you can say, oh, I know what that is. That's definitely Pano, or that's definitely a Nomad weapon. So.
Dude, I am so stoked for the resculpt of the Mobile Brigada and the Alguaciles for the Nomads, because I just got a Corregidor force and I'm totally geeking out about it. It's awesome.
I love the Corregidor models. I think they're some of the best ones they've done so far.
Oh man!
They've also got a really nice unified theme to them.
From what I've heard, Operation Icestorm will go on pre-sale at the end of July. So, will we see it at GenCon? Not quite sure.
Hopefully. I would buy it if it's there. I'll give him my money.
You're going to hug Carlos. So.
I love you, Carlos. Give me a big hug.
Well, depending on how you guys drink, he might hug you back. Spain, they're passionate people.
That's cool. I'll probably have a few in me, so I'm all for it.
Beers, right?
Whatever.
Spaniards.
Hey.
And anyways, also this week in releases for Infinity, we saw Custom Meeple's June release. This is a new set of terrain that they've produced.
Yeah, that's their tower with like the little Lexan plastic sides to it. I think it looks great.
It does look cool.
I think Infinity is one of the few games where the terrain looks as amazing as all the miniatures in it.
Here's what it looks like. Let's see, we got the Lexan plastic, looks like a landing pad, and some sort of stasis unit.
That looks like a transport to your ship, like your drop ship thing, like. Pew! There you go.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the ring transport system off of Stargate.
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting. We'll put a link down in the show notes for people who want to check out Custom Meeple.
Hooray!
And then, do we have any other releases that we want to cover?
Let's see. Nothing else from Corvus Belli. A little news recap for the week. Cool Mini or Not is doing a 20% off sale for Infinity and Night models. Stock is limited. I've seen some of the Infinity stuff is one or two quantity, so it's going fast.
Are they closing out all their Infinity stuff then, or what's the deal? That's interesting to
I
me.
think it's just a time for summer sales.
Really? Fair enough.
Well, there's definitely a few extra Steel Phalanx models that I need to pick up, so I'm going to have to take a look at that. How long is that going on for again?
You'll have to look at their website and see. CoolMiniOrNot.com.
Oh, speaking of Cool Mini, Cool Mini, Zombicide 3 is up and live today, and it took how many minutes to get funded?
6 minutes to be totally funded for Season 3.
And is anybody surprised?
I think they found their cash cow.
This is one of those. I've got a buddy who did Season 1 and Season 2, and he's not really going to do Season 3 because he just has a whole shelf full of zombies, and he just doesn't need any more.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point, because if you back the first couple of Kickstarters, you're not, because all of, the first two have done phenomenally well, and that's what they've been doing, is just throwing hordes and hordes of zombie models. Does anybody actually need more of them by now?
Do you know what's crazy? I got on eBay because I bought the first the first box set, right? The Zombicide 1, right? And we play it, me and my daughters and my family, and it's really fun and cool. And I was just like, I want some more survivors. So I went on eBay. I was like, how much are these survivors? Holy crap, dude! These little crappy little plastic bendy ugly models are like selling for $50 a pop on eBay. And I think that's is that what people are trying to get more of? I don't know what the draw is.
Season 1, Season 2, all the exclusives, per Kickstarter, they can't sell them. And most of it's just a one-time shot. And so the only way you'll actually get any Season 1 or Season 2 items is if you go to a convention where they give them out as for playtesting. So it's a rarity thing. Once the season's over, you're never going to get those exclusives again.
But Grim, you make a great point. These are not. I love their concept art, and I like watching the Zombicide Kickstarters, just to see who they unveil next. But I've seen guys paint these up, and these are not beautiful miniatures. These are definitely board game quality pieces.
They're board game, total, all board game.
But yeah, so Zombicide will make them $1 billion, because looking at it right now, we're a couple hours in, and they're already at $468,000.
Good night.
You got to ask yourself, is this really even a Kickstarter? They've done 2 successful Zombicides. Is this just a pre-order at this point, and getting people hyped up?
What is Kickstarter for? Is Kickstarter for new companies? But now, it doesn't seem like that anymore. I was like, well, we need new tools for the new Zombicide stuff. So let's just do a Kickstarter for the tooling, and then we'll get 100,000. We'll get $1 million and shell out this stuff for cheap to these guys, and then make a bunch of money afterwards. I don't know. It's odd.
Pre-sale is like a big thing you cannot do on Kickstarter. That's one of the big things that they locked down on, I think a few years ago. They say this is all for startup money, so you can't really have something sitting in your warehouse and then just push it out with a Kickstarter.
Right, so it's like with taxes. Sorry, Casey. It's like with taxes. Like, there's always people going to find loopholes. I think Cool Mini's like, look, sure, it's not a pre-sale, but we know what we're going to do. We're just trying to kickstart the funds to get new tools so we can get this new Zombicide season. But it's essentially just a workaround using this Kickstarter as a pre-sale. I think that's what I'm thinking anyways.
Yeah, I think the spirit of Kickstarter is that a Kickstarter campaign should be for something that, without that campaign, otherwise will never make it to But at this point, does anybody have any doubt that Zombicide 3, that Cool Mini couldn't front the money for Zombicide 3 and get it out to
Well,
market?
Cool Mini is just the middleman, because it's Guillotine Games are the guys who are producing and designing Zombicide.
Oh, okay, sure. Cool Mini or Guillotine Games, whoever, the buck stops at. Are we, after the success of the first two games, is anybody doubting that these guys and God are not in the same tax bracket? I mean, the fact that these guys couldn't put out Zombicide 3 on their own, if they couldn't do that, then it means that they're all driving Lexuses and they've totally blown their money and used it in horribly irresponsible ways, which I kind of approve of.
I mean, we don't know. I haven't looked and see what their aftermath was. I know a lot of other Kickstarters have barely made it above green with at the end of their Kickstarter. Like case in point, Secret Weapon miniatures with their tile set. From talking with Mr. Justin, he loses money on every tile set that somebody ordered through that Kickstarter, but it was just enough to get people to get the milling done to have the product.
Yeah, and I think that Mr. Justin and Secret Weapon and a few of these other companies are in really different places than what these guys are. Secret Weapon hadn't really done any kind of tile sets like this before. Where he was relatively new to it. Where we've seen where other companies have gotten themselves in trouble because at the end. Merck's Minis is a great, with the Myth Kickstarter. I mean, towards the end, they're just throwing up concept art because they're like, wow, we had no idea that you guys were actually going to get this high, and we're super excited about it. You're super excited, so let's just start throwing stuff out there. We're not even going to look at the economics. So, and then later on, find out, wow, we have a razor thin profit margin here, or if we're even losing money. Whereas the Zombicide Kickstarters are class X from top to bottom. I mean, you're like, oh, and by the way, we never expected on hitting $2.5 million, but here's our perfectly done concept art. This miniature. And we know we won't make $3 million, but we've got exciting stuff waiting for you if you do.
I'll have to say, without knowing the details, it's definitely fishy. That's what I'll put. We don't know what's going on at Guillotine Games or Cool Mini, but definitely when you look at the success that they've had, it definitely is like, what? Okay, well, and I know a lot of people will be like, I don't care. I get it. I get to go get $170 worth of minis for $90, so I'm cool.
Well, and like we've discussed before, a lot of people like zombies, but how many scenarios can they do for a zombie game? I mean, they could be running out. We may not see a season 5. Who knows?
My thought is, for as long as The Walking Dead is on TV, they have ideas, and that is what they're playing off of. The whole Walking Dead, this is all playing off of that Walking Dead. What's the word I'm trying to
Genre theme.
Yeah, it's the craze. There it is, the Walking Dead craze. Everybody's like, oh, Walking Dead, Walking Dead, Walking Dead, Walking Dead, Walking Dead. Like, it's everywhere, and this is just them saying, "Now let's hook our boats onto that wagon until it goes down."
Well, what do they say? Make hay when the sun is shining, I guess. But you probably got the most. We should probably just be cautiously skeptical, but until they open up their books to us, I guess we can't really know for
sure. Right.
And let's see, last bit of news here. We have Malifaux has their July releases. So let me pull this up. Here's the new sets for Malifaux. Got the Guild Guard, the Governor's Proxy, the Executioners, which is a cool looking miniature. Yeah, Betty Noir, the Canine Remains, the Moleman. There you go, Casey.
I love me some Moleman.
Bishop, Desperate Mercenaries. These guys actually look pretty cool. And the Bayou Gremlins.
I'm not gonna lie. When Malifaux first came out, like I was totally all over it, and I like ordered the release day. I ordered $100 worth of stuff and got the free thing, and then I kind of thought the minis just started to not be as cool as I was hoping that they would be, and then I just totally lost completely all interest. And now with the new 3D sculpts they're doing and the plastics, holy crap, it's looking so cool. I can't, but I want to.
Like X-Wing, right?
Well, X-Wing is Star Wars. Star Wars cannot be contained or held in. It just happens. That's what happened.
And they're pre-painted.
Yes, no, they're not pre-painted, Casey. They're repainted.
Oh.
The Force is strong with this one.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I haven't actually seen a whole lot of weird miniatures in the flesh, so to speak. But look at a lot of those guys. There's a lot of very thin, very small parts that would kind of make me nervous. You guys have a lot of confidence that they're gonna, because that executioner model had a lot of like claws and talons and stuff. And all I'm thinking is, I am never gonna see a straight one of those ever.
I've got some of the new ones here on the shelf behind me. I'd have to dig them out. They are very delicate, but they do go together pretty well. But Weird is pretty odd, not with their releases and just the gameplay overall. This is one of those. Yes.
Those is that plastic more the new Malifaux plastic? Now I haven't seen it in person, but I've heard it's more like GW plastic.
Yes, it is.
So they're able to get the strong, straight blades that like we get like when you see lightning claws.
And everything comes in on a sprue.
Okay, so it's probably like a polystyrene.
The good stuff. That's what I call it. The good stuff. That's the stuff you want.
GW may eat human babies. I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying that I can't confirm that they don't. But
hey, my buddy's kid. Carry on. I'm sorry.
We're just filling time here while you're looking at something behind you. Because we are so professional that we would never not have something pulled out.
Oh, yeah, I'm painting stuff.
Sure, blame me for pulling out.
I'm trying to show a model here. I was talking about things that are not family friendly. There she is, the rocket launcher.
Okay. Here we have the sprue for the hired swords.
What about the rest of the pirates?
This is the just one box. The ladies. Plastic's pretty good, but like the detail is very, very rich, but very tiny.
I like it. I like that.
It was a good move
I think
going plastic.
We're going downhill. Like let's just end this before we have to put an R rating on this or something.
Fair enough.
Because all I'm hearing is it's rich but it's tiny, and I'm gone. I'm done.
All
right. So we'll wrap it up here. Grim, where can people find you on the internet?
Go to the geekgarage.net. Yeah, net, right? Yeah. The geek-garage.net. We have a forum. We have a blog that's updated once every 4 or 5 months. And, but we have a forum that is active and a Facebook, yes. Geek Garage at Facebook, that's probably where you get the most of our stuff. Most of our new stuff. It's easier to post. It takes 3 seconds to post a picture and say, hey, look what I did. So come there and see us. It's cool.
And you guys got another Salty Dwarf coming up soon?
Yes, it's planned to be at the Salt City Gladiator Games, but we are waiting to see what's going to happen with that. So if it doesn't happen at the Salt City Gladiator Games, we may be changing that to a annual instead of semi or biannual thing. So Casey, my friend here, he is a winner of a Salty Dwarf, if I remember correctly.
Casey, you never told me.
I took third place, and I was feeling really good about it until they said, "Well, you only took third place because the guys who would have been like first, second, and third had multiple entries, so we couldn't give them this, 2 awards to a single person. So,
Casey,
we kind of got it by default."
Was that Al? Was that Al who said that? I would never say something like that.
I cannot confirm or deny it was him. I mostly
it was.
can't deny it. But I will say, he pushes me to paint better all the time, and I get so excited. I'll be like, look at this amazing miniature I did. I spent like 3 whole weeks on this one little part, and it's great, and I love it, and it's perfect. And I'll look at me like, yeah, it doesn't. You need to fix this.
Let me get my best Al impression. Looks good. Needs a wash.
Yeah, from what I've been told.
Perfectly.
From what I've been told on my miniatures, it's like, are you going to highlight this more? So we all have learning to do.
Yeah.
I don't ever say that.
He's
to
like
you,
an
Al.
He's an abusive Yoda.
That's awesome. Hey, we all have levels here. I mean, some people have to highlight more. Some people need washes. The other people just are awesome.
Some people need to uncross-eye their women. Or their dwarves.
Hey, now, I'll tell you something. I never have cross-eyed things ever. Ever. So stop looking at my eye. Fuck it off.
The way you avoid a cross-eyed model is to find models that wear helmets.
Helmets help. I've heard.
That is why all of my Tau wear helmets. Like into Infinity, like having to. No, nobody wants to see your face. It makes no sense. Hey, I know, guys. Let's go to a big gunfight. I'm gonna take off my helmet. Brilliant.
Only the cool people take their helmets off. Only cool people take their helmets off, Casey.
Yeah, I saw that in Starship Troopers, and let's see, did that end well for that guy?
MOON, that spells dead. Oh, if you get that, you're awesome.
And on that bombshell, we're going to call this episode a close.
Good night, everybody.
This has been Casey, a.k.a. Rocket Yeti, Randon, a.k.a. Grimwolf. You guys have a good night.
See you later, bro.
Good night, folks.